The silence in the grand hall was so heavy that no one dared to speak. Elena Vargas stood frozen in her wedding dress, the beautiful fabric that had made her feel like a princess now feeling unbearably heavy. What are you saying? Her sister Valeria Castillo's voice trembled, all her usual arrogance completely gone. James Maxwell walked slowly toward her, each step echoing in the absolute silence of the room. Elena, I know this is not the time or the place, but your sister left me no choice. I could not allow you to think you were abandoned in an orphanage. His voice was firm yet filled with deep emotion. You were not adopted from an orphanage. I placed you for adoption. I am your biological father. Valeria dropped the microphone. The loud clatter echoed through the stunned hall. And this was only the beginning of a truth that would change their lives forever. The silence in the reception hall was so thick it could be cut with a knife. Elena Vargas felt her perfect wedding day crumbling around her. Her adoptive mother rose, her face pale with shock. James, after all these years. Elena turned sharply toward her. You knew him? You knew who he was when I invited him? The pieces were finally falling into place. How long have you known this, Daniel? Her new husband placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Elena, breathe. We can handle this together. But her mind was in complete chaos. She looked at James Maxwell, really looked at him for the first time. His eyes were exactly like hers. How did I never notice before? Mr. Maxwell, please, call me James. James. Her voice shook. Why now? Why appear in my life as a client 3 years ago and say nothing? He ran a hand through his graying hair, a gesture she herself often made when nervous. When your consulting firm appeared on my radar, I could not believe it. Elena Vargas, specialist in corporate restructuring. I saw your photo on LinkedIn. You were identical to your mother, to my Elizabeth. Elizabeth. The name left her lips as a soft whisper. Your biological mother, the brightest and bravest woman I have ever known. Valeria, who had been unusually quiet, let out a bitter laugh. How convenient. The powerful CEO turns out to be your father. Do you know how much money he has? Billions. And you, she pointed an accusing finger. You were never really part of this family. Enough. Her adoptive father finally spoke, his voice heavy with exhaustion. James Maxwell turned toward Valeria, his tone cold as ice. Miss Castillo, I suggest you sit down. There is much you do not know about this situation. The guests whispered among themselves. Several were already pulling out their phones. Her perfect wedding had turned into a public spectacle. Daniel, she whispered, I need air. Without a word, her husband took her hand and led her to the hotel garden. James followed, and after a moment, her adoptive parents joined him too. Under the moonlight in the quiet garden, James Maxwell began to speak. Elena, I met your mother Elizabeth when we were both young entrepreneurs. She had a technology startup that was revolutionizing the market. We fell in love and married in secret because my family did not approve of the relationship. When she became pregnant, it was the happiest moment of our lives. He paused, his eyes shining with unshed tears. But there were people who did not want Maxwell Industries to have an air of what they called impure blood. There were threats and attempts to sabotage Elizabeth's company. And then, Elena's voice was barely audible. There was an accident. Elizabeth's car was tampered with. She knew she was in danger. A week before, she had made arrangements with an adoption agency. She made me promise that if anything happened to her, I would place you safely with a family that could protect you. Her adoptive mother nodded softly. James came to us because I had worked with Elizabeth. We knew the danger you were in. Does that danger still exist? Daniel asked, his arm protectively around her waist. James shook his head. No, the people responsible were dealt with years ago. But by then you had grown up in a loving family. I did not want to disturb your life. Then why did you hire my services? She asked. I wanted to know you. To see the woman you had become. And when I saw your brilliance in business, your ethics, your compassion, I knew you were exactly like her, like Elizabeth. Elena sank onto a garden bench, her wedding dress spreading around her like a white cloud. All this time, the business meetings, the contracts, every moment had been real. Your work is truly exceptional, James said quickly, but yes, they were also an excuse to be near you. A shout from the hall interrupted them. Valeria had followed them into the garden, still slightly unsteady. This is ridiculous. So now you are the heir to Maxwell Industries. The poor orphan turns out to be a princess. Valeria, enough, her adoptive father said, grabbing her arm. Do you not understand why I revealed her secret today? Because she always had everything. The love, the success. And now she even has a billionaire father. James straightened, his imposing figure strong under the moonlight. Miss Castillo, your sister has what she has because she earned it through her own hard work. If you are jealous of her success, perhaps you should examine your own actions instead of trying to destroy her happiness. Valeria pulled free and stepped closer to Elena, her eyes shining with malice. Do you know what else I discovered? Little sister, your perfect consulting firm. Guess who has been leaking confidential information to your competitors? Elena's heart stopped. What? Oh yes, remember all those documents you asked me to review? It was so easy. She could not hold back any longer. Elena stood up and, for the first time in her life, slapped her sister across the face. The sharp sound echoed through the garden. The silence that followed was broken by slow applause. Everyone turned to see an elegant middle-aged woman standing at the garden entrance. Bravo, Valeria, you finally showed your true face, the woman said. Victoria. James Maxwell turned pale. What are you doing here? Your sister, her adoptive mother whispered. Victoria Maxwell walked toward them, her heels clicking on the stone path. Did you really think I would not hear about this little family gathering? James, about how you finally found Elizabeth's illegitimate child. Valeria smiled triumphantly, touching her reddened cheek. Mrs. Maxwell, I see you received my message. Elena's mind raced. You have been working with her. Victoria smiled coldly. Valeria has been very useful these past years. Who do you think helped her get that prestigious bank position? We needed someone close to you. James stepped forward. Victoria, Elizabeth's accident, it was you. Of course it was me, she replied without a trace of remorse. I was not going to let that outsider and her child inherit what belongs to the Maxwell family. She pulled an envelope from her bag. And now I have proof that your dear daughter has been selling corporate secrets to the competition. That is a lie, Elena said firmly, though her hands were shaking. Valeria was the one leaking information. Victoria laughed. And who is going to believe you? I have documents that prove it was you. No, you do not. A new voice joined the conversation. Daniel stepped forward, holding his phone. I have been recording this entire conversation, including Valeria's confession about corporate espionage. Valeria turned white. You cannot. Oh, he can. Another voice interrupted. It was her assistant, Anna, emerging from the shadows with her tablet. And not only that, we have all the evidence of the bank transfers from Mrs. Maxwell to Valeria's offshore account. We found them months ago. For the first time, Victoria lost her smile. What? Elena straightened, smoothing her wedding dress. Did you really think I would not notice the leaks? I am a corporate restructuring consultant. Aunt Victoria, my job is to find irregularities. When I discovered them, we began tracing everything, every document, every transfer, every email. That is why I insisted you be my best man at the wedding. James, Daniel added, Elena needed a way to keep you close and protected while we gathered the evidence. James looked at her with a mixture of pride and wonder. You are exactly like your mother. Elizabeth was always 3 steps ahead. This is ridiculous, Valeria screamed. You have no proof. Oh, you mean these proofs? Anna projected several documents onto the garden wall using a small projector. Emails between Valeria and Victoria. Bank transfers. Recordings of their secret meetings. Victoria stepped back. You cannot use this. I already have. Elena finished. The Maxwell Industries board will receive a full report tomorrow morning. So will the bank's board where Valeria works. And of course, the authorities. We can reach an agreement. Victoria began. No, we cannot. James interrupted. It is over, Victoria. Elizabeth's legacy will finally be honored. Valeria collapsed onto a garden bench. I just wanted to be special too. You were always the favorite. The successful one. Her adoptive mother approached her gently. Valeria, you were special too, but you chose the wrong path. Elena walked closer to her sister, her wedding dress whispering against the ground. Do you know what is the saddest part? Valeria, you never needed to do any of this. I always admired you. I always wanted us to be close. But you chose to see me as a rival instead of as a sister. At that moment, several men in suits entered the garden. Mrs. Victoria Maxwell, Miss Valeria Castillo, you need to come with us. As they were led away, Elena turned to her adoptive parents. I am sorry that your sacrifice and love were repaid this way. Her adoptive mother pulled her into a tight embrace. You did nothing wrong, my dear, you will always be our daughter. James approached hesitantly. Elena, I know this is not the best moment, but I want you to know that I expect nothing from you. I only wanted to protect you. She interrupted him with a warm embrace. I have enough space in my heart for two fathers. Daniel joined them. What do you say we return to the celebration? After all, it is still our wedding day. Wait, she said, remembering something. She turned to James. All these years, the contracts, the projects, they were genuine, right? Every evaluation, every recommendation you made was brilliant, he assured her. In fact, he pulled an envelope from his jacket. This was going to be my wedding gift. Maxwell Industries needs a new CEO, someone who can lead the company into the future with ethics and vision. She looked at the contract in amazement. Your mother, Elizabeth, should have held this position 20 years ago. It is time for her legacy to continue, only if you want, of course. She looked at Daniel, who nodded with a smile, then at her adoptive parents who watched her with pride, and finally at James, her biological father, who was offering her not only a future but also a connection to her past. I accept, she said finally, but with one condition. What is it? I want to establish a foundation in Elizabeth's name to help young businesswomen make their dreams come true. James smiled, his eyes shining with tears. Your mother would be so proud. They returned to the reception hall where the guests waited anxiously. The music began to play again and Daniel led her onto the dance floor. Are you okay? He whispered as they danced. She looked around at her adoptive parents who had given her so much love. At James who could finally be part of her life. At Anna who had been crucial in uncovering the truth. And at her new husband who had stood by her side through everything. Yes, she replied with a smile. For the first time in my life, everything is exactly as it should be. The night continued and although it was not the wedding she had planned, it was better, it was real, it was true, and it marked not only the beginning of her marriage but also the start of a new chapter in her life. As she danced with James, her biological father, he whispered, Elizabeth always said that the truth has a way of coming to light. It only needs the right moment. And she was right. Sometimes the most painful revelations lead us to the most beautiful places. Her wedding, which began with a cruel revelation, ended up being the day when everything finally aligned in her life. Now, as she writes this from her office at Maxwell Industries, with a photo of Elizabeth on her desk and the love of 3 parents in her heart, she knows that every step, every pain, and every surprise was worth it. Because in the end, the truth does not only set us free, it also makes us stronger. Thank you for listening to today's story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next story.